We are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Tuesday's Table Talks. I am your host, Monstra Lotus.
And I'm Tigra, Tiggy'd Productions.
Right? And we are the goddesses of Tuesday Table Talk. With our producer, who's not here currently, Leah Cruz, in the beautiful and wonderful space of Love and Light Cuisine. So thank you and welcome us. And our special guest today is, yes,
Dr. Deanna Granger.
yes.
Thank you for having me.
We are we are blessed that you are here. And we understand, is it Founders Anniversary?
Yeah, Delta.
Yes, Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, 110 years of
Oh,
fellowship. Yes, January 13th. So Friday we will be celebrating, but it starts beforehand.
That's right. Celebrate all week.
Yes.
Beautiful. We're actually continuing a discussion, and for everybody who's watching, excuse me, I do have a little cold, so excuse the raspiness. Hopefully my voice will be back to its loud, high-pitched voice sounding soon. So we're continuing our discussion about self-care and self-love, and the topic of discussion today is reimagining mental health care and professional self-care. So, Doctor,
Tell us.
Dr. DeeDee,
What you want to know?
about
Mental health has just been, it's been trending for the past few years, and especially because of COVID. The pandemic had a huge impact on that. And so there's one thing that's trending the most, and that's the self-care part and what that looks like, because a lot of people don't necessarily know what that looks like and how it still falls under the umbrella of mental health. Because a lot of times, when we think about mental health, we think of something's wrong with you, something's going on, when that's not necessarily the case at all either. And so it's kind of like when you say a car, and then there are so many different types of cars, right? And so when you talk about mental health, and there's so many parts when it comes to mental health as well too. So you let me know where you want me to start with this, because it's a big topic.
It's a big topic.
Right.
So I guess let's start with what you specialize in.
Okay.
With your practice. Because
Okay.
you have a practice here in St. Louis.
Yep, I have a private practice here in Midtown St. Louis, 3301 Olive Street. And so I'm a medical family therapist. And so what that basically means is that I have a medical component to my work that I do in therapy as well too. So I do see individuals, families, couples, children, adolescent, adults, so all ages as well in my private practice. And then I also can go into the medical setting and see individuals. And I'm not speaking of the, like the psych ward. That's immediately what people think when they think of mental health on the medical side. No. And so mine is women's health.
Beautiful.
And so when we're trying to normalize mental health and just making sure that you are aware of taking care of yourself, we take care of those physical parts on the medical side, but the mental part is more of a specialty area. So I'm not feeling like myself. So you know what, somebody's going to refer me to a therapist when it doesn't have to be. So when you go for your well woman's exam, typically you go and you may see the lab at that time. You may get some x-rays, you may get your breast exam done. And so here you are, you would see me as well too, checking in. How are things going? And so we're making it routine maintenance. Is what it's what my push is when it comes to my medical side with it. Yeah,
That's definitely a reimagination of what people think of. Like you said, we all automatically think, oh, you got to be depressed to even. And I think that's where the stigma comes in the Black community. Have you faced any challenges with people seeking therapy who maybe didn't want to be there, were forced to be there? What have you heard as far as, I guess, with people not wanting? What are some people's stigmas or challenges that they face with seeking therapy?
A few things. They're scared.
Yeah.
And so one thing in the Black community too is, are you gonna tell my business? Right? So, who do you know? Do you know the people that I know? And so I'm going to make sure that this is confidential, as well. So it's that part. And typically we talk to our good girlfriends.
Yes.
Which is a form of therapy, right?
Yes,
it's therapeutic.
yes.
But, I always talk about how it's important to have resources. And your good girlfriend can't always be that person that you go to.
Especially when you're going through something that you really need some assistance, some professional assistance.
Yep.
And it seems like you can't get out of it.
Right.
That deep depression or deep trauma that needs to be dealt with.
Yeah. And I think too, when it comes to, the Black church, I think, so often we talk about, oh, the Black church may not necessarily be accepting of it. We handle it there. We take it to the altar. We talk, we take it to God. We pray about it. Then we move on. Then we just hope that things work out.
Gone.
We think it's done, right? So it's kind of like you just wishing for a job, but you don't ever fill out the application.
Yeah.
Right.
You just hoping God, it just doesn't work that way.
Right. Exactly.
But I also say too that I don't necessarily see that when it comes to the Black church. And so I think it's a historical thing. And so that was the place that we had. That was the safe place when you think about, just Black families. That was our safe space historically. And so I think now that the stereotype is out there about the Black church, and that's only where we want to go. Because you know how you throw out things, the rumors, and then you don't know who started it and how do we end it. I think that's where that's coming from with that, because so often many churches that I communicate with, that I attend, we talk about mental health. We talk about the importance of, getting a therapist, even if it's just for routine maintenance, as well too. So it's kind of hard when you're going through something to first find somebody to talk to that you don't know, become comfortable with them, to trust them as well. On top of, I still got this issue. So the reason why I'm coming to you too. And then after a while, you just get frustrated. It's like, you know what, never mind. So what a lot of Black churches are becoming, they're becoming, the middleman. So it's like, I trust my church, right? And so if there are therapists connected with churches as well, they'll be willing to, they'll be willing to listen to the church when it comes to those recommendations of therapists, as well too. So yes, go ahead.
Now you mentioned during your practice, so when you're doing like wellness exams or for women's health or any of your family practice, I understand in your practice, do you know if there is something of a collective practice where automatically, mental health is brought up, like how are you doing? Not just physically, but the bedside manner, that is inclusive in diagnosis of the patient.
Yeah. So to answer your question, it's not consistent. Let me say that. And then when you think about scope of practice, right? And so you have your family, your primary care physician, or your obstetrician or your gynecologist who may ask that question, but then scope of practice, right? So it's routine. So when it comes to ACOG, and so that's the organization for medical providers, they are told to ask those questions. However, it's really out of their scope of practice when it comes to the diagnosing part. And so we talk about, now we're hopefully getting into the East Coast, West Coast, the coast, are doing this, but hopefully it's moving closer to the Midwest. But integrative care. And so with integrative care, it takes a team.
I like that.
It takes a team. And so, and realizing that the lead person is the patient. That's the leader of the team. And so making sure their voices are being heard is extremely important. And then how are we communicating as that person's medical team to make sure that we're taking care of them holistically, as well too. And so they do ask those questions, but it's a checkoff. Yeah, it's more of a checkoff. And so what we hear constantly is that a lot of patients are saying that they're missing those the bedside manners are just not there. How you doing? How you feeling? Oh, okay. Well, or they're not necessarily knowing that the reason why I am not compliant when it comes to taking my medication is because of a lot of other things. So you're just saying that I'm not compliant with taking it, but did you ask me, can I afford this? Did you ask me, how am I feeling about having this medical condition? Did you ask me, how do I feel about sharing it with my family? Could this mean that I'm aging and how I'm doing with that? With just transitioning into a different part of my life. And so sometimes they don't necessarily get off into that. It's like, you need to make sure that you're taking your medication. And if you don't, then this is what's going to happen, versus sitting down, eye level with them and talking and asking those questions like, why? Tell me what's going on. I know you want to take your medication. So it gotta be something else going on, right? And so that part is missing. And so when you think about when you go in to see your primary care physician or your gynecologist, those appointments are back to back, right? And so I don't have the time necessarily to go into that. I'm gonna ask it. I do care, but the reality is that you have whether it's 15 to 20 minute slot. Right. And I need to get done what I need to get done because someone else is in the next room.
Right. I've heard of practices opening up that time slot, in smaller practices, being able to extend it a little bit more to have the interviewing phase and discuss some other issues outside of the actual physical exam.
Yeah.
So, and also I think what's interesting to me, and I think it's important to note that some illnesses, or what we may think of illnesses, stem from mental health, could stem from mental illness, you know, maybe a certain trauma, or, you know, having the, what do you call it, like pseudo symptoms of something physical, but it's based off of some mental trauma. So a lot of times, you know, I've had situations, or had people that I know who had a real serious trauma, and then every month, and then every week would go to the hospital because felt that something was magnitude. It was just, you know, in their mind thinking that I got a bump here. Could it be a spider bite? Oh my God, it's coming out. But it's initially the trauma that had occurred that has nothing to do with the physical, but it's something mentally that's, you know, causing this other stuff to kind of happen.
Yeah,
how is that diagnosed? You know, or, you know, is there an integrated or something within the regular physician's practice where it's like, okay, maybe this is something else, you know?
Yeah, and so actually after we do, so when a primary care physician, after he or she does all the tests that need to be done, so whether it's, you know, blood or x-rays and things like that, and everything is okay, but they're still feeling like something is going on. So how about we refer you also to a therapist as well too, just to talk to those feelings as well too, and we will monitor it, you know, as well too. So I'm not just pushing you off on that therapist and saying nothing's wrong with you physically, but then also, so now we're working together. So is it mental? We really don't know what's going on, and so a lot of times too, we, you know, when it comes to the medical field, you know, miracle workers, but, you know, the reality is we don't necessarily know. We're trying things. We're trying things, and so that's the biggest thing. Keep trying and not giving up as well too. It's the big thing. And so there are medical physicians out there who do have connections with therapists, and who they are comfortable with referring their patients to as well too. That's the biggest thing. You have a relationship with your primary care physician, right? You trust them. So if they refer you, you may be, you know, you may be more willing to actually see that therapist as well too. But then sometimes, do we take the time out to have a relationship with, you know, with our medical providers? Because so often I hear too, I don't really like them, I want to find somebody else, you know, and then that appointment passed, and then you like, well, I ain't gotta see them until next year, so I'll find somebody, and then next year comes, it's like, look, I guess I gotta go again, you know, and so you never put in that work. You never put in that work to actually make that happen. But then when it comes to, you know, if I'm looking at specific, going back to your question, you know, like why, you know, are people, you know, like hesitant, you know, to get, you know, support when it comes to mental health, you know, when it comes to historically and what that looks like, and what's still current, you know, when it comes to, you know, the Black community. And so I'm a doula as well too. So my mission with becoming a doula, my research work is around working with African American moms, pregnant moms specifically, making sure their voices are being heard. So when we think about the maternal mortality and morbidity rate in the African American community, what's going on? Mom is saying something is wrong, but we're not doing something about it. We're not listening to her. And it has nothing to do with money. So when we think about Serena Williams, when we think about Beyonce and what they went through when their voices were not being heard, they have money as well too, education, all of those things. And so our moms, our Black moms, are not coming home. And why are they not coming home if we simply maybe listen to them? And so it starts with that. And so a lot of times too, they don't necessarily feel comfortable or feel heard either, because, you know, historically there are those things out there that they say, you know what, you know, Black women don't feel, or Black people in general, you know, they don't feel the same pain. You know, they could take more. As well too. So or if we are with Black women specifically, it's, you know, it's the strong woman trope, you know, that we have to hold on to. And who came up with that? You know, it's like, no, I don't want to carry this. You can hold it. You can hold it. But and so, but we are also naturally caregivers as well too. And so we so often put our family, our friends, everybody else before we tend to ourselves as well. And so that's the problem as well too. Sometimes we put ourselves on the back burner, and so people treat us based on how we treat ourselves. And so we say, nope, not today. We're not doing this. And so there's this thing. And so this, you know, we use this in my doula practice, but it's called brain. acronym called BRAIN. What are the benefits? What are the risks? Are there any alternatives? Trust your intuition, and it's okay to say no, not today.
I love it.
You know, and so when that moment happens, just think of BRAIN, trusting your mental side of you and going with it. And so if worst case scenario for you in that moment, if you don't want to give an answer, no, not right now, no,
Right.
not today.
Right.
You know,
Beautiful.
Oh, I love that. It's that disparage in the African American community. It's with the pregnancies. I feel like it's with medical care in general. I had a medical issue last year, and it was a gynecologist that I have been with since my son is 28. You know, so for that many years, he wasn't hearing what I was saying. So I went to my PCP, who is he's a Caucasian man. I went to my PCP, who's Korean. She was like, you need to speak with a woman of color. She's like, you need to get an OBGYN of color, because she was talking about the issues, how they're not listening
That's right.
to women, to Black women.
Yeah.
So the fact that it's known, what can we do besides seeking women of color? That's, you know, in the profession.
And so I think that when it comes to just trainings and workshops, there are a lot of different things in other areas of, you know, like the professional lives of people, where, oh, I can go to this workshop or I can go to this training to become more educated on things, but we don't necessarily have that on the medical side. And so when it comes to the medical side, it's more our specialty. Yeah, let me dive into this research a little bit more to become more, you know, informed on this particular area. But we don't necessarily take those workshops to come more informed on the Black woman.
Right, exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
and so when we even think about our medical conditions and things that we are more likely to be prone to, as well, we get the same workup as everybody else. And so we're not being tested based on what we are most at risk for, whether we're pregnant or whether we're not. And so why are we not? Because those standards were made with not us in mind. So they're made with white women in mind. And so this is the standard, this is the norm. However, if I am at a higher risk for a cardiovascular disease, why am I not being just tested for that? Because I'm a Black woman.
Thank you.
And so why are you waiting for me to say something, which you're probably not going to listen the first time I say
No,
something?
exactly. You're not.
And so then it gets worse, right? But what if we make that routine? What if we begin to make sure that we are testing our Black women to based on what they're at high risk for, and not what you set the standard for some years ago without us not even in mind. So yeah, so I think too, with just being a part of boards as well, too, medical boards and insurance boards and things, because a lot, it's a business. Medical field is a business, right?
Yes, definitely.
And so they work together. And so this is not everybody at all. There are some who's like, you know what, I'm gonna do what I gotta do and write this up accordingly when it comes to the insurance company. A piece of it, but the reality is that the insurance company is not gonna pay for something if they don't see where there was a purpose for doing the treatment. Or do, you know, on the provider side of things, do you want that red flag? Oh, this provider always doing this. We don't want you as a provider on our insurance panel. You get what I'm saying? Right. And so that business part of things, or when it comes to the pharmaceutical side of things, I have a partnership with them, right? And so I'm going to make sure that when it comes to which high blood pressure medication I try first, am I thinking about who's in front of me, or am I thinking about who comes into my office and brings lunch? You know, for my staff all the time, and because they want me to use their product first. You know, and so it's those things that needs to be changed. And I think just talking about it more, but we know that when it comes to the Black community, it takes a longer time for things to actually change. But it doesn't mean that it can't change. And so as long as we keep talking and keep making sure that we are we're in there. And so, because there's not a lot of us in, you know, when it comes to a medical family therapist, and how many Black medical family therapists, doctors that I know, you know, as well, who's in the St. Louis area, because the program that I went through here at a local university, as well, although it's in a community, a diverse community, the reality is that it has been not gravitating, I would just say it has been attracting others and not necessarily us. And so I don't know if it's because, you know, we just don't know about it, or whatever, when it comes to how you can expand out in the world of counseling and therapy, as well too. But, you know, in a 4-year span, you know, I know of 2, and that's including myself. So I know me.
Wow.
You know, and so, but you know, it's random, and so we're trying, you know, to find each other and to tell each other about, you know, like different options that we have as far as making sure that we are seen in certain spaces as well,
Right.
so that our voices are held. But you know, it's slow, and but we're gonna make a change.
We're gonna
make
do
a
it.
change. Yeah,
We're doing this is a new year.
Yeah.
We're doing it.
We're doing
We're
it.
doing
Yeah.
it.
This
Yeah.
representation is so important. I hear there's like a Black therapist website or something where you can find, if you're not in St. Louis,
Yeah.
you can search for.
So Therapy for Black Girls.
That's what
Yep, you have Therapy for Black Girls, and you go on there, and it's all Black therapists, and so it's so interesting because the Black men are going there too. They said Therapy for Black Girls. I know this therapist probably see me too. You know, it's a name. So I am so tickled pink every time I hear, how did you hear about Therapy for Black Girls? All right, we're gonna because you know, so often we don't think about, you know, we don't think about our Black men and what they're going through as well
That's
too.
right. We discussed this last week
Yeah.
with some of the issues of not, you know, we think about ourselves, and we're the ones who have to push, you know, in a sense, the women to push our Black men to go, you know, go to exams, to go get tested for certain things, but also in regards to mental health, you know, some things we just slide over. You know, and some things they do too. So I think it's important for us to understand that language of us speaking, and that love language includes mental health. You know, I don't want all of this to be, it's not all on you. You know, the roles and things that we've taken on in regards to our family structure and everything. This does not mean this is necessary. You don't always have to be the care provider, you know, the sole provider. And I understand that that's a lot of stress. It's a lot of pressure. You don't have to do it this way, A, B, C, and D, you know, just like we don't. So for us to have that conversation where we can lighten the load for all of us, you know, and our men are very important in ensuring that our health is okay, you know, physically as well as mentally, because vice versa. We don't have to carry the load all on ourselves.
You mentioned something earlier. It was in a different context where you talked about trying and trying again. So I remember encouraging my son to seek. I lost my parents, so his grandparents, and then his uncle, my brother. Like it's like back to back, 8 months, and then less than a year. So anyway, so I finally got, you know, like pulling teeth, finally got him to go. But the one person he saw just wasn't a good fit, and I was like, you know, sometimes just like with anything else, right? You have to keep trying to you, but you know it's so hard. Do you have any advice for people who, like, maybe if the first one they want to give up, like don't give up, try again, or
So I say consultations are important. And so if you can do a consultation with a therapist, typically they should be free, first of all. And those consultations should not be about you telling them why you need to come to them. It should be about you asking about them. You know, because energy matters. And you get that feel for them to see if I want to move forward with you. But then I'm not diving into my concerns right now. I'm trying to get a feel to make sure that this is right for me and you're right for me. And so I say seek out therapists who do offer consultations, because those are important as well. So a lot of the consultations are virtual, you know, because the times are short. But then if you want something that's in person, just let them know, hey, I need to come in. I need to feel the room. I need to feel the energy before, you know, I make the decision before deciding to move forward with you. As a therapist. And so sometimes, you know, we don't believe that we have, you know, those rights, or does that even sound right? I come to you and ask you questions.
Right.
Yes. And so I always start with my clients who do consultations. This is an opportunity for you to ask me questions to learn about what I do as a therapist, to make sure you're making the best decision for yourself before you decide to move forward with me, if you choose to.
I've never heard it. I've been with you.
No.
So this is great advice. So you also mentioned something about routine maintenance as part of it. So tell us more about that.
So basically, if you don't have a therapist right now and nothing's really happening in your life, this is a good time to go find your therapist.
Come on now.
You know, it's kind of like when you're not shopping under pressure, or not going to the grocery store hungry. You're gonna get a lot of it. You're gonna get frustrated. Next thing you know, you have all these groceries in your car. You still gonna stop to get something to eat. You know. And so routine maintenance is, you know what, I just want to check in. We have routine maintenance when it comes to the dentist, right? We go every 6 months, whether we're having an issue or not. We go every year for our physical exam, yearly exam, our annual exam. We go every year. Why? Because they tell us to. right? And so with routine maintenance, it's you just doing mental health as a routine maintenance. I'm just coming to talk. That's a thing. That's that's a thing. And so you just have that relationship with that person. It's no judgment. They're going to challenge you. They're not your yes woman or yes man or your no woman or no man. It's for them to basically help you think about things. And sometimes you just want to let loose and that's all I need to do. All right, that was good talking to you. It doesn't have to be anything. So routine maintenance, that's a real thing, which is also one of the reasons why I don't accept insurance.
Okay.
And so a lot of my clients, patients that come to me on the medical side, yes, have to, right? On my private practice side, no, I have a sliding fee scale, but the reason being is because insurance companies do not honor routine maintenance.
Which should, you would think.
Yes. They want you have
that's like preventative,
right?
They don't because they feel like they're paying more.
Mm-hmm.
That it's coming out of the pocket.
So I
that
always
they don't have to pay.
Right, and so I always tell my clients, and I explain this to them. When you use your insurance, and there's nothing wrong with it, but I think it's important for you to have a choice and to know that in order for your therapist to get paid, they will have to diagnose you.
Mm-hmm.
They for payment purposes, because we're going back to it's a business, and for me, I don't necessarily feel comfortable with having to, with putting down anxiety or depression or continuously for 5 years for payment purposes.
Right.
No, it could have been that you just needed to talk. And so it's that part of it that's that I hope will eventually change. Where it's routine maintenance, that's the one.
This is information that's so new to me.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you for sharing that, because then that opens the door too for not government, legislation or some other legislation to where that can be paid for.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. At least people can get some grants or some sort of medical assistance to pay for that.
Yeah.
And that's something that's very important.
Mm-hmm.
It's imperative. So I didn't know that.
And a lot of times people don't want that diagnosis attached to their medical history, right? Because it's a stigma that comes with mental health, or when it comes to their children.
Exactly.
They're like, I'm a little bit more protective over my baby. You're not about the label.
Yes.
When it comes on the education side, when you talk about special ed, you get pushback from parents. Exactly. And then when you talk about mental health, it's like, not mine.
Yeah.
And so that's the one thing that I hope, will change, sooner than later.
I hope so too. I hope
Mm-hmm.
so. Definitely.
Now tell us more about the doula. Not everyone knows what a doula is. So tell us about this.
I know.
Superwoman.
You know what? A doula is a support person. That's what they are. And so I'm a full spectrum doula. That basically means that I can do anything from preconception to labor and delivery to postpartum to loss. So when you think about, when you lose a baby, and what that looks like. But I only do labor and delivery. Labor and delivery. So basically what that means is that we meet a few times before your due date, in the late second trimester. If you want to start early, you can, but we meet at least twice. And then I'm there for you during labor and delivery. And then I see you up to 2 times after you have your baby as well. And so basically it's that support there for mom. And so having a child it's an amazing experience, right? But for a lot of women, it's a traumatic experience, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes too, when you as medical staff, when you're working on that labor and delivery floor, that's what you do all day, right? So you forget that this is a new mom, new baby. I don't care if she has 7 babies.
Right.
This baby is her first. This is her first time with this baby. So you have to treat it as such that you begin to treat it like it's it's a factory. Assembly line, push. You're not as gentle, with the process as well. And so my support there as well during labor and delivery is making sure that mom understands what's going on, what that looks like. If mom is looking to have her baby naturally, what that looks like. So we do different exercises and leading up to that time. If mom is like, I want to make sure that I'm not medicated during that time. If she's looking to have baby in a hospital, because you have the option to have your baby wherever you choose to. And so we work through different strategies that we're going to use if you get to this. And then it's also educating mom when they're talking about this is what it looks like. When we're talking about that, this is what it looks like. And so, because this is important. And sometimes when we're in those settings, it's intimidating. They're saying this, they say it's good for me. Okay. And so it's, so these are the options that you have. You have three options when it comes to inducing you. And so they can give you this medicine, or they can do this.
I've never heard any of this.
Yeah, so
I have multiple babies. Yeah.
So you have these options. One can be orally, one can be, given orally and vaginally. The other one is going to be given vaginally as well. And so letting mom know that you have options as well too. And so, teaching them how, they can do just homework leading up to that time, so it doesn't have to be intimidating at all for them. And so I truly enjoy that part, to make sure that they are, that when baby comes, that you want to do skin to skin, what that looks like, when they are, if you are doing a vaginal birth or a belly birth, what that looks like. And so a belly birth doesn't mean that it doesn't have to mean a bad thing. Sometimes moms, they feel some type of way. I wasn't able to have my baby vaginally.
The right or the wrong way.
Right.
The right way.
And so I had to have a belly birth, and that's C-section. So I had to have a belly birth. And how does that feel? You can still do all of that with your baby as well too. And so just letting them know those options that they have there. And then the other part that I incorporate with my doula services is a mother's blessing ceremony.
I love that. I went and saw your website, so yes, I love that.
So the mother's blessing ceremony, just getting back to our roots, those traditions of blessing mom, letting her know what her support looks like, even when the whole family can't be there. What all can you all do as well to support her? And then also, this is mom's voice being heard. So we have the baby shower, right? It's about the baby, right? When the baby shower happens. But this mother's blessing ceremony is about mom, and what mom needs, and how we're going to show up for mom when that time comes. And so, it's things that we do when mom goes into labor. We're lighting a candle all around in that family, and we're all taking a moment to meditate, to pray, whatever it is in your comfort zone for that. But we're lighting that candle, representing that labor has started, for mom. And then we also have the cutting of the, umbilical cord. And so we're wearing what mom puts on everyone who's a part of that blessing ceremony. It's a symbol of baby making it to earthside. And so we tie this around the wrist of everyone, and they wear this, right? The whole time. They're wearing this until baby makes it to earthside. So whether it's 4 weeks, whenever we have that mother bless you taking a bath, and we owning this,
so
and so
beautiful.
So I love,
we miss that connection here in Western society.
Yeah.
And miss, the point of going through the process of caring for the mother, spiritually, mentally, physically, and having that support system for her after the baby is born as well.
It's big. It's big, and and moms, they feel so good afterwards. We have, we have it's washing her feet, and letting her know we're here to take care of you. Because as simple as it may sound, where it takes a village, sometimes we're not necessarily active in that village.
Right.
We push what we want to do.
And it's like a ceremony. It's not a long-standing thing or something that lasts for days, for weeks, or whatever. So it's important. So
I offer all of that, from the placenta and what you can do with it, what they do with it if you don't do anything with it.
Come on now.
I remember Baba had me burying mine in the backyard somewhere.
Yeah, whatever that may be. Yes, that is. And so because they're going to throw it away, if there's nothing they can do with it, it's science. And so they use it for their benefit as well too. So if it's useful at the time, they use it, and if it's not, it's trash. It's waste at that point, right? But this is what your baby was connected to. And so, but the benefits, we always say that baby is going to be okay. It's mom who we worry about. I say that to my moms. They're going to make sure that the baby is okay during your pregnancy. Baby's going to get all those nutrition from you. But if you are not feeding yourself to make sure that you're getting, that you're being, getting those nutritions, it could be a problem, right? The baby's going to take from that, but those nutritions go through the placenta. That's where the baby is, right? And so you have placenta encapsulation, where you take those, where you take the placenta and you put them in capsules. And so it's an actual person that comes.
Awesome.
Yeah. So it's a person who will come within an hour after you having your baby.
Beautiful.
And they come and pick up their placenta. And they do the work with it, or they come and maybe you just want to just have it, You just want it
Right.
stored. And so like you did, I want to have a ceremony with it. And so they package it so that you are able to take it with you
Yeah.
as well too. And so, but the health benefits when it comes to mom having a daughter and what that can be useful for her for, or those in caps, they can use those for your mother. So your mother can take, if your mother's going through menopause, right? And she could take those pills for her to help her through those menopausal symptoms.
See, this is the type of education we don't have. We don't know.
Mm-hmm. So there's so many benefits when it comes, or just helping mom heal a lot faster, in a healthier way when it comes to after she has the baby. So during her postpartum time, and her taking those pills to help her naturally just heal. She's putting her back into her.
Yeah.
That's what it is. So
I need to rewind the clock. Right. I can have this sister as my doula. This is, oh my goodness.
So whether you want it or not, I think you should have a choice.
Yes.
That's the biggest thing. And a lot of times we don't know what we don't know.
We don't.
Yeah.
We don't.
We need an advocate.
And then we only know what we're told.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't have the other side, you have to
anything at these
believe.
hospitals.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Unfortunately, a situation with my eldest daughter, when she had her child, while she's in labor, they didn't realize that she had preeclampsia. So my baby almost passed during labor. I mean, she swelled. It was the hardest labor, and I'm looking like something is not right.
And you noticed it, and they did.
I'm like, something is not right. What is going on? Please, this should not. Something is going on. And she kept passing out and blanking out. And then luckily we had a nurse that come in and said, "Oh my gosh, has she been tested for preeclampsia?" And this is during labor.
This is right.
This is during labor. We could have lost my baby. We could have lost her. So I mean, and we hate to say it, but the truth of it is, if she was Caucasian or, most likely this wouldn't have gone as far as it went.
Yeah. We don't, sometimes we, we brush off the swelling.
Yeah.
Too. Well, I've seen worse. They say things like that. I've seen worse. Or if this happens, you just had a baby, you're pregnant.
Right.
This is, and it's like, no.
Something is different.
Check this out. It's okay. To check it out, make sure everything is fine.
Right.
And I'm just glad to hear that you all had that nurse that came in and knew. And you were speaking up for your baby. Something's not right. I know how my baby looks.
Right.
And this is not how my baby
something
should look.
Right. And I'm like, this labor is going too long. And she's, it's not just tired. No. Her heart is going up, and then, they have to constantly come and checking her heart. I'm like, hold up. What is happening here? Her vitals aren't. No. This is not. No. This is not right.
Yeah.
So, and I remember having to call for another doctor. Like, y'all better get somebody in here. And then when the nurse came and said, "Well, has she been tested for preeclampsia?" I'm like, "Are you kidding?"
Wow.
So
yeah.
So your practice, and I can't wait. I tried to get to this 5:30.
I told you just let me know and I'll put you in, and then you get the reminders. You're like, I'll handle it on the back end.
Right. So let's talk about that. The other part, the physical.
This is how holistic Dr. D is. Let's make sure this is clear, guys. Right. This is what we mean about the holistic aspect of it. It's not just mental, it's spiritual, it's physical, it's everything. So the other aspect, not only the giving practice that Dr. D is, but also this physical part, y'all. I'm saying, and it all works together, So hey,
they say that exercising helps, when it comes to your mood, as well too. And so I believe that. As well too, and so I do indoor cycling classes with hip hop music. I say hip hop and R&B. As well, I have a DJ that makes all my music, and so the whole song. We don't have whole songs, so if your jam on, just know it'll probably be off in about 2 minutes, depending on. But it's gonna feel like you're at a club somewhere, and so even if you're not coming to work out, you're coming for the music. So
I love it.
But it's to make it fun because music is therapeutic as well too. And so it's just offering a variety of things, and you get what works for you. So going back to self-care can look like so many things, but the biggest thing is making sure that you are available to yourself.
Right.
You know, and so do you have space and time for
Showing up
you?
yourself.
So those I actually chose. It's so interesting. So it's a connection between everything.
Yeah.
So I actually chose indoor cycling because it's one of the safest exercises that you can do while you're pregnant.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, because you can sit. And
Yeah.
so when I did it, you know, 9 months pregnant, you know, with her, you know, it made everybody else nervous. But it's like, it's what I do. It's what I do. It's what I do. But it is safe because you can sit too and do it and still get a full body exercise with it as well. But it's open to everybody, including guys. And so a lot of time guys are like, do you see guys? I don't know why I wouldn't.
Right.
You know why? Why wouldn't you be able to?
I haven't gotten into the cycling, so this is something definitely I want to do. I'm a runner. Now I ran
too.
You know, like 7.5 months pregnant, you know,
Okay.
with each baby. You know, I have two, so I was running with big belly and I had to wrap it and tie it all tight because you know. But I was running, you know, so determined to do that. But cycling,
it's a full body deal.
Definitely.
Yeah,
I'm not.
It is, and so I incorporate strength training in there because I'm also a personal trainer as well too. And so, but I encourage So I encourage individuals to try it, the cycling, because I do have the strength training that goes with the cycling as well too. But my classes are small. They're small. They're small for a reason. Everybody's like, "Are you gonna expand?" This is expansion. This is. This is how I'm going. If it's too many of you all, I wouldn't be able to pay attention to you. And so that's important for me to make sure that your form is right. It's not just me yelling, "Go!" You know, it's me making sure that you're doing it the right way. And then also, when it comes to it being small, it's so that we're a family in here. So you don't have to wait on your good girlfriend to come and work out with you.
Because your good girlfriend already
here, right? And so when you're building communities that work for you, you can have your workout people.
I love it.
You know, and so it doesn't have to be your good girlfriend doing everything with you. For one, that's too much pressure for one person. I don't want to do that. You know what I'm saying? You could do some stuff by yourself and call me afterwards and tell me how it went. But so when everyone comes in, the teacher in me is everybody knows everybody's name. Oh, this is such and such. This, you know, so if it's your first time, just know. I mean, like, and everybody's gonna know, and they're gonna be like, "How you doing?" You know, they're gonna go through the whole thing of it. But yeah, so it's small, and so it's there are on the sign up is 6. Well, I have extra bikes in there, especially when people are like, "I want to try it, but it was full" or something like that. I'm like, it's an extra bike. Come on in. So those extra bikes are there as well too. So it expands to 8. I had to think about how many bikes are there. So 6 are on the scheduling for my website, but there are extra bikes there.
Right, and you cannot say your business.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Website.
I don't do.
So everybody, you know.
This is my downfall. I've been told this all the time. They say I do not market myself. I don't. I just love the service that I provide, and I said I'm going to stop saying this. But for the sake of just transparency, I say I am not an entrepreneur, but I'm gonna stop saying it. You know, I just know the services that I want to provide, but I've been doing this for too long. I am, and this is just something that I'm just getting used to, y'all. Yeah. So, but first you. That's the name of it. So before you can do anything for anybody else, you.
That's right.
But first you. That's where it came from.
That's our motto this whole year.
Yes.
You know, that's our motto this whole year. So seriously, because I mean, I don't know if you feel it, but I felt it ever since 2023 was around the corner and on its way in, that it was time for us to make some changes where we have to start putting ourselves first.
You do.
You know, where we have to be selfish and doing the things that we need to do for ourselves and understand that we are just as important as our loved ones. You know, overstanding that we are just as important as our loved ones, as our careers, and everything else that we do and make time for. So making that time for ourselves, the collective aspect, you know, spiritually, physically, health, mental, you know, all of that. Do something. Dance if that's your physical.
Speaking of dance, now I already signed up.
You did? Okay.
Hip-hop dance,
I'm not teaching hip hop dance, and so
you're gonna get tired of us. You're gonna get tired of us.
No, so it's called Dance Your Art Out. Yes. Dance Your Art Out with Coach Chaz.
Right. Okay.
And so Chaz has her background is in dance. I was about to say music and dance. So she has classes for our little people, our kids, and then we have it for the adults as well too. And so you don't have to come with any experience at all.
Right.
But it's dancing is therapeutic, and so we're trying. My goal is to hit all areas, right? And so if dance is your thing, get it out. You know, and so it's not taking the place of therapy, but it's just understanding that there are things in your life that can be therapeutic for you. And so you having your regimen that you do for yourself. Like if it's you, when you wake up, what do? I wake up, drink a glass of water, I brush my teeth, I use the restroom, wash my face. What do you do? What do you do for you, where you take your moments for you? And so we have to make sure that that we're offering just various things out there that just work. And so what may work for me may not work for the next person. So it doesn't mean that it can't be available.
That's right.
You know, so yeah, so although I don't dance, in my head I dance so good. Like I be moving, and then the reality is this is like it's not giving what it's supposed to give. So
it's giving it. Yes, it is.
It's giving it up here. I'm like, yeah, but
okay, you good.
Yeah. So yeah, I forgot about the sauna therapy.
I added the sauna too. I got that.
The sauna therapy, yes. Yeah, the sauna therapy. And so that's but that's hitting mental and physical. Right. You know, and so I get individuals who are like, you know what, spend on my thing. I really do want to work out. I don't want to do too much. So it's so interesting. You know, people want they want to be healthy. They was like, I want to lose the weight, but I don't want to do the work.
Why? How you gonna do it without working?
So let's see if you sit there,
right,
and you sweat a little bit, and see what you drop some water weight.
Well, some people don't want to sweat though.
I've heard that.
Oh my God.
You know what it is though?
So many people, the
natural hair, even natural or not. Without the braids, it's gonna be a chia plate.
We'll put a wrap on it or something.
That's what it is.
I've never heard of that.
That's why I got the braids.
Yeah. And you have to go with what works for you. And so you may come to my spin class, and I may have the flexi robs in my. I'm gonna do whatever I got in the house. I'm gonna have my scarves on. I encourage everybody to do that. But you know, you have to normalize that part. Or it's so often. We're going to be leaving ourselves out when it comes to that physical part of taking care of ourselves.
Very much so.
Yeah,
so necessary.
I do remember it was a few years ago. I was in a mental state, and I had been working out, but I stopped. My hair was natural. I was in Arizona because I moved to Arizona, and I was like, it was my hair. And then it's like as soon as I stopped working out, I just went down. Mentally, like I gained so much weight, just depressed.
Right.
But that's what it was. So yeah, forget that hair, y'all. Y'all better get to moving.
You know,
that's the point.
Well, I did it because I went through a brief meditation. Meditation. I went to a brief depression this past week. So when I gained like I have myself like a 5 pound.
I understand, right?
Between games. So anything over that, it's like, hold on, what's going on? Some is off. It's a mess. You know, we gotta hurry and get this together. So I gained like 7 pounds, and I'm calling Tiggy like, girl, what the heck is going on? You know, and I'm like, hold up. You know, and I have not. I'm a runner, so for me, running, you know, sparks me. That's my time doing meditation. That's everything. Even though I teach meditation and yoga, I have to get extremely active, and I have not. And today is my birthday.
Happy birthday!
Thank you. But I entered into this realm with a twin sister, and my twin sister passed in 2020. So every year so far since then, I dread the day. So week before last, I started getting into that. Oh my God, it's coming up, it's approaching. You know, and I could feel it. And so subconsciously, I put myself into a depression, which is subconsciously why I'm sick, you know, because I created this whole, you know, stuff, dreading the day. And not until yesterday, I was like, girl, you got to get yourself together. Y'all birthday tomorrow, you going to be sick? Come on, hurry up, get out of this now, you know. So I had to do a deep meditation and spiritually kind of heal some of that part and deal with some leftover wounds, you know, and grief. You know, from this whole thing. But saying all this to say that we need to be clear and understand that there is a collectivity who makes us who we are. You know, it's the spiritual aspect, it's the physical aspect, it's our creative aspect. Soon as we let something fall, you know, it allows this other stuff to creep in that's not necessarily us.
Yeah.
So depression, dis-ease, you know, sicknesses, and other things to come into play that takes over certain aspects of our lives that, you know, takes us away from being the wonderful beings that we are, you know. So I admire and, you know, what you do and ensuring within your life, you know, and your career that you've been able to balance that and bring it together, because it's very hard and difficult for a lot of people, you know, in whatever profession that they are, to bring that together to where it's beneficial on every end, you know, and you're doing that by, you're fulfilling yourself and fulfilling everybody else. And which means that you're not only giving to the universe, but during that process of giving to the universe, you're giving to yourself, and which allows that whole thing to constantly come back, which means it never stops. You'll never stop manifesting. You know, you'll never stop growing on any aspect, because you're growing, you're allowing somebody else to grow. You know, you're feeding into them, you're feeding into your children, you know, all of that. And that's a beautiful thing to be able to do that.
Yeah.
You know.
I say I'm always honored, and I tell my clients this, that it's, you know, I thank them. I know that, you know, I don't, you know, take that lightly, as well when they choose me as their therapist, right? And so I tell them thank you, because I know that this process could probably be hard. You're trusting me and not knowing me, you know, and so I just don't take that part lightly. But thank you, too, for sharing your birthday here with us, as well, too. But that self-talk that you gave yourself, you know, to show up for you. You and your sister, on your birthday. And so healing is a process.
It is.
You know, and there's no time frame on it, you know, at all. And so sometimes, you know, you hear people say it's been 10 years, it's been 20 years. It's there, you know. It's no matter what, it's still going to be there. It's how do I live,
right?
You know. But the grief is still there, you know. So.
Right.
As a takeaway, is there anything any advice that you can give to our viewers, to us, things that we can do in addition to regular health therapy, like on a daily, just to keep up a healthy mind and body? What can we do daily?
So daily, I would say, you pick your day, whatever day your week starts on. That's why I always say, whatever day your week starts on. Some people week start on a Wednesday, you know. Schedule time with yourself for that week. You know, that part is important. Put it on your schedule. So if you put a meeting on your schedule, a doctor's appointment on your schedule, put time with yourself, date yourself.
That's right.
You know, and whatever that looks like, you don't have to necessarily spend money. You can take a nap. You can look at your four walls, you know, but it's your time that you've set aside for you, because the last thing you want is to give all your time to someone else and you don't ever save any time for you, you know. And so at times you're going to feel that eventually. And you're going to have resentment towards, you know, just the world, because you didn't put those boundaries in place. And so when someone calls you up and say, are you available on Friday at 1 o'clock to help me, blah, blah, blah. You look at your calendar and you see, oh, shoot, all I got on her is just for me to be with me. I ain't doing nothing. Yes, you are doing something. You are. So you wouldn't cancel that doctor's appointment. And so you stick with that. And you say, hey, you give them a choice. Hey, I'm not available at that time, but I'm available on this day or at this time. And so making sure that they called you first for a reason.
That's right.
They knew that you would probably say yes. And so believe me, if it's an emergency, they will dial 911 before they call you. Okay. So believe me, it's some options there. So you throw it out there to them, but don't always take what they throw out to you. So I would say that's one thing, scheduling time with yourself weekly and not waiting on, you know, that vacation to take that time for yourself, because that's putting a lot of weight, a lot of expectation on that vacation to show up for you. Right. And now it's so much that this vacation has to bring it. If it doesn't bring it, it's like, I was expecting so much from this vacation, you know, and it didn't. But it's because we put too much weight on that vacation. So making sure you take that time in between time is so important, as well too. Making sure that you are finding your self-care regimen. It's not just a hashtag. You know, right now we use that word so much, but it's something that's active. And so when you are creating communities for yourself, resources for yourself, it means that you're probably going to have to be uncomfortable. And so with being uncomfortable, that means that, I may have to meet, that whole phrase with no new friends, you may have, you may have to meet new people to extend yourself, to extend your support group as well too. And those people can just be your workout crew. If that's what you choose to do. It could be, your people that you see on a regular when you go, maybe it's the art museum you go to on Tuesdays at 9:00, and it's the same people. They look forward to seeing you. You look forward to seeing them. You don't know each other, but it's, hey,
Right.
the energy is there. And then it's the accountability part as well too, where you kind of feel bad if I don't show up, but you're still showing up for yourself. But it's that natural part of us that I want to see them, or maybe even I haven't seen you in a while. Where you been? And and making that other person maybe even feel good that you noticed.
Yes.
Because sometimes it's just about being noticed.
Yes.
As well too. And then I would say also, even if you don't need a therapist right now, find you a therapist right now. And so it's a sacrifice. It is. You're making space and time for that. And you can use your insurance, or you cannot use your insurance. I always ask that they have a sliding fee scale. And if that therapist is for you, it's going to work out the way it needs to work out. But remember, routine maintenance. That's all. You can tell them, I don't have any reason, and I'm nothing pressing in my life for me coming in. I'm just coming in to talk, build a relationship with a therapist. And if they're a good therapist, they'll say, all right, let's get to it.
Right.
And so it wouldn't be a moment of silence, So that's the reason why I don't necessarily advertise that, I only specialize in this area when it comes to therapy, because then I feel like I'm making it about me.
That's right.
And so for me, I have an eclectic approach when it comes to therapy as well. It's tailored around you. Tailored around you. So when you go out and you're looking for your therapist and you want that therapist that do that thing, that one thing, that's fine. But if that therapist doesn't do anything else, just remember, you gotta go get you another therapist now. For that routine maintenance as well too. And so you can have both as well, but just remember, it's just going to be the extra work for you. So I would say those three things.
And that's the advice that Dr. Granger gave us about seeking therapy now, like when nothing's pressing. That's just the best way to build that trust. So when something does happen, and by that time you're like, okay, I trust this person, I've been talking to them, and you have that ease. And she's such an anomaly because not everybody out here is doing it like this. So she is a blessing. St. Louis is blessed to have her.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness.
Thank
Oh
you.
my goodness. Now I know you're an author. Any books out currently, or what?
Oh my gosh, let me pull it up. And so, so we talked about the my research work around Black moms, and them not coming home as well, but what does that look like for our Black fathers? And so surviving, she should be here.
Wow.
It's an article that's out there. I can send it to you too.
Please do.
Surviving, she should be here, and what that looks like. Who's supporting that Black man?
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? If she's dying, if our moms are dying, what does that look like for him when it comes to caring for now a new child? As well, grieving the loss of my partner, as well too, and then in a society that say I'm not even present in my kids' lives. You hear, like what does that look like for them? And so I have that out as well. And then the others are more around the educational side, as well. So individuals in counseling programs at universities as well too.
We need it so we can post. So we can post.
Yes.
So is it But First You, is it .org?
So the website is butfirstyoullc.org.
We will also post it on the video for this. And what else? It's just like you so much. Is there anything else coming up that you want to tell us about?
You know what? I am so yoga will be soon offered. At the space as well. I want to get into yoga. Not me, once again, I don't do that. But I think it's important to have different, variety of things that's therapeutic. And so Sherelle is a yoga instructor. And so I'm assisting her. She's finalizing the date. But we will have the Yoga Wellness Fest.
I love it.
Yoga Wellness Fest coming soon in May.
Okay.
So save the dates. I'll be coming soon for that. And so with that, it'll be a lot of wellness going on. So although yoga is leading, that's because her background is yoga, but the wellness part is incorporating everything, everybody. And so it will be in Tower Grove Park. I can't tell you that.
Come on now.
As well.
Look.
Tower Grove Park. So if you are a vendor of any sort, around wellness, it could be waist beads, sea moss, wellness, holistic. Please reach out because we are definitely looking for vendors to be out there as well too. So
And how can they reach out to you? You're besides your website, you're on Instagram.
Yes, I'm on Instagram. But first you. And so actually everything is but first you. Instagram and Facebook. Did I mention that I don't do well when it comes to advertising? I think I said it.
We got you.
I'm gonna get better at it though. That's a professional goal of mine. I'm like, what I gotta do now? I do it consistently on my personal page, but like I said, I have to own that I am an entrepreneur.
That's right.
And what that
beyond
looks like.
that, beyond it.
So,
And on her website, all good information about her services as well. She goes into her sliding scale on there. So peruse that. For the workout, there's passes. So you can either do one class, you can buy multiple classes. She makes it easy.
Try class for free. I always say try it out first. So just let me know you want to try out a class. You do not have to pay for that class. I always say I will not get rich off of anyone's mental health or physical health. I have another way to do that.
Come on now.
I have another way for that, but I'm just hoping that my services are affordable. And if anything, if it just triggers something for you to reach out to someone else, that's all that matters. And so affordable and quality is what I strive for, or triggering something within you to do what you love in your area, whatever that looks like as well. So I forgot about the art therapy. We have art therapy too. I love
everything.
So we have, I'm not an artist, but I do the art therapy now. You will see.
Every woman.
Yes. So thank you so much for having me.
Oh, our pleasure.
Thank you.
We hope to see you again and talk about other things as you continue to take over the world.
Right. And we are here for it.
Yes.
I'm just trying to do my part.
You're doing it. You're doing it.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Dr. Deanna Granger.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So things that are coming up for Tuesday Table Talks and Loose Woman, Mantra, Tiggy Pink, Tigra, Love and Light Cuisine. Friday, open mic night.
Open mic night Friday, and we'll be celebrating my birthday on Friday. So hopefully my voice will be good, and I'm a dance, I'm a sing, I'm gonna do it all. So
come through 7 to 11 p.m. right here, 3225 Hampton, Love and Light Cuisine.
Yes.
Also coming up on the 22nd of January, that's Sunday, we do have our Self-Care Sunday.
Self-Care Sunday.
I'll be doing Qigong. So come and get your meditation on with some Qigong and learn how to work that chi in your energy, get that right. So click on the link at tbpink.com, get your tickets there. If you have any questions, just reach out.
That's right.
Anything else we have coming up? So many things.
You all doing some work out here, creating a platform to be able to, for people to be able to hear these things. Look, I'm going like this for a reason. Like, wait a minute, what?
Right. We're
blessed. We are all blessed. And I'm just look, melanin popping. On Tuesday Table Talk. I really, this sisterhood is so important these days. I know I'm off on a tangent, but thinking about representation. I heard a story not too long ago about a woman in the hospital, and a nurse was about to call the psych ward on her because she was patting her head. A Black nurse came in and was like, she was telling her that she's about to write her up, and the nurse was like, "Why?" She's like, "She's hitting her head." She said she's hitting her head, and the Black lady's like, "Was she doing like this?" She's like, "Yeah." She has a weave.
Oh my God, that's the first thing I thought of when you go. I'm like,
she has a weave. So it's like this point is representation matters.
Yep.
So
it does.
Yep. Blessed to have,
and blessed to have healers.
Yes.
And, healers who are able to give us what we need.
Yes.
And educate us on what we need and how we need to be treated.
Yes. Because all this information was new to me today. So
me too.
Yes.
And that's a lot saying, to be said. Because seriously,
I know y'all do a lot. Y'all.
We know a lot.
I'm learning so much. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go there. Oh, I'm trying to keep up. You're posting. I'm like, yeah, you all have a wealth of knowledge, and so a lot of things. So
beautiful. So we will see you guys next Tuesday. And we'll chime in on Friday. So we'll see how that goes. This should be fun. You know. All right.
Bye.
Bye. Here we go. We still haven't got the Bluetooth thing yet. There we go.
Awesome.
Yeah.